This video is presented for historical and educational purposes only. World Documentary Archives strongly condemns hate speech, violence, and all forms of extremism.
This is one of the many recordings produced in Germany during the early months of the Nazi regime. At first glance, it appears to be a military funeral, but at its core, it is a carefully constructed political spectacle. The scenes you are about to see were filmed in 1933 in a Berlin newly reshaped by the incoming government. 3 SA men, the Nazi Party's paramilitary wing, are presented here as martyrs of a revolution still being shaped and narrated by the regime itself. The deaths of these 3 SA members, Walter Appel, Robert Gloyle, and Franz Klein, occurred during a moment of extreme political tension. Violence between rival groups was common, fueled by inflammatory rhetoric and the social instability of the Weimar Republic. Here, however, we see not only mourning, but the construction of a myth. The Nazi regime quickly recognized the symbolic power of death and began turning it into a tool of propaganda. Observe how every gesture, every camera angle, every coordinated march reinforces the idea of national unity. The lined-up crowds, the mass use of the salute, the aerial shots showing the procession advancing as a single, cohesive force. All of this is part of what Joseph Goebbels called the staging of truth. To him, propaganda should not merely inform, it should create a reality capable of moving and persuading people. The coordinated presence of the SA, the police, and paramilitary groups, such as the Stahlhelm, is no coincidence. In 1933, these organizations were being aligned with the Nazi project of power. Displaying them side by side sent a clear message. The new Germany had a single path, a single order, a single narrative. The cortege, therefore, stops being merely a farewell and becomes a public display of strength. Performing security roles, a way of introducing young people to the logic of discipline and devotion to the state. The message was clear. The regime would perpetuate itself through the next generations, shaped from an early age to serve the Nazi ideal. When the procession reaches the cemetery, the narrative reaches its climax. Party authorities are already waiting, among them Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda. He is not there simply to pay tribute, but to turn these deaths, before the cameras, into a political argument. The speech you will hear next is a direct example of how the regime used funerals to reinforce its worldview and consolidate its authority.
Es ist nicht wahr, dass nur die aus den gelehrten Stuben große Ideen verstehen oder verfechten könnten. Es ist nicht wahr, dass die breiten Massen des Volkes an großen Ideen keinen Anteil haben könnten. Es war eine Revolution und es gibt eine Revolution und es wird eine Revolution bleiben. Und jeder, der dafür lebt, der lebt für die Revolution. Und jeder, der dafür stirbt, Revolution. Denn wären diese Männer nicht aufgestanden gegen die bolschewistische Tyrannei und hätten sie sich der schmutzigen Springblut, die vom Osten über unser Land hereinzubrechen drohte, nicht entgegengeworfen, dann wäre Deutschland darin versunken. Sie sind gefallen für das Größte, was es unter dem Himmel geben kann. Für die Freiheit und die Ehre und das tägliche Brot eines ganzen Volkes.
Goebbels' speech ends the ceremony with the classic rhetoric of Nazi propaganda, the idea of sacrifice, the construction of internal and external enemies, and the emotional appeal to unity through death. The final sequence, the gun salute and the silent crowd, reinforces this heroic framing crafted by the Ministry of Propaganda. It is important to remember that this footage was not produced to document reality neutrally. It was created to shape it, to transform political violence into an epic narrative, to present the regime as inevitable, necessary, and morally justified. When we revisit these images today with historical distance, we can see what many people at the time could not, the persuasive power of a well-crafted performance, and the dangers of accepting images without questioning them.